Cowboys Nation, we've got shocking news today. Mike McCarthy's era as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is officially over. After years of ups and downs, the speculation is over, and the decision has been made. What led to this monumental move, and what does it mean for the future of America's team? Stick with us, because we're diving deep into the breaking news, what happens next for the Cowboys and what it means for the team moving forward. Hey Cowboys fans, welcome back to Cowboys Club, your ultimate source for all things Dallas Cowboys. We've got some major news to unpack today. Mike McCarthy has officially been let go by the Cowboys, and his tenure has come to an end. After seasons filled with high expectations, controversies, and playoff disappointments, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys organization have made a game-changing move. In this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know about this bombshell news. What went wrong under McCarthy's leadership, and what's next for the Cowboys. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and don't forget to ring the bell for all the latest updates from Cowboys Nation. Now, let's dive right into it. The departure of Mike McCarthy from the Dallas Cowboys is truly a landmark moment in the franchise's history. His tenure, marked by a series of highs and lows, has left an indelible impact on the team. But the growing pressure and the expectations from Cowboys fans have ultimately led to this monumental decision. The question on everyone's minds now is, how did we get here? What went wrong? And, more importantly, what comes next for the team? After years of watching the Cowboys build a talented roster filled with players like Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb, the one missing ingredient seemed to be consistent playoff success. McCarthy, who was hired to lead this team back to Super Bowl glory, simply couldn't take them over the finish line. His time in Dallas had been filled with promise, but marred by underachievement in the postseason. Fans and analysts alike grew frustrated with his inability to make the crucial adjustments in critical moments. His first season in 2020 was of course complicated by injuries, most notably Dak Prescott's horrific ankle injury that sidelined him for most of the year. Despite that setback, McCarthy's team still managed to finish atop the NFC East, but with a losing record. That didn't sit well with Cowboys Nation, who expected more from a team that, when healthy, had the talent to dominate. The following year, 2021, was a different story. The Cowboys seemed to be firing on all cylinders with an up and 12-5 record, and expectations were higher than ever for a deep playoff run. But once again, the Cowboys fell flat in the postseason, succumbing to a tough 23-17 defeat against the San Francisco 49ers in the wild-card round. The loss exposed some glaring flaws in McCarthy's leadership, namely his questionable clock management and an offense that couldn't execute when it mattered most. Despite the early playoff exit, McCarthy's job was spared for the next season. Many saw this as a sign that Jerry Jones was still invested in McCarthy's long-term vision for the team. But 2022 came, and with it more disappointment. While the Cowboys had another solid regular season, finishing with a respectable 12-5 record, the postseason saw the same story unfold. Another early exit, this time at the hands of the division rival San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Fans began to grow restless, and questions about McCarthy's effectiveness as head coach continued to swirl. Could the Cowboys continue to invest in a coach who repeatedly failed to win the big game? Despite McCarthy's constant assurances that the team would learn from its mistakes, the clock was ticking. Each year that passed without a Super Bowl appearance left fans more and more disillusioned, and even as the team looked great on paper, there were consistent patterns of mismanagement and underperformance that held the Cowboys back from realizing their true potential. While McCarthy's critics grew louder, there were others in the organization who still believed in his ability to lead the team to a championship. But even they had to admit that something needed to change for the Cowboys to take the next step. The tipping point finally came when McCarthy and the Cowboys entered the 2023 season with higher-than-ever expectations, especially with a roster that was arguably one of the most talented in the entire NFL. Dak Prescott was back to full health, and the defense, led by rising star Micah Parsons, was wreaking havoc on opposing offenses. The team started the season strong, but once again, when the stakes were highest, McCarthy's decision-making and inability to adjust on the fly came under intense scrutiny. In a must-win game late in the season with the Cowboys' playoff hopes on the line, McCarthy's failure to properly manage the clock in the final minutes of the game sealed his fate. The Cowboys fell short, and the writing was on the wall. It was time for a change, no matter how difficult that decision would be for Jerry Jones. The move to let McCarthy go was likely not an easy one for Jones, who had invested heavily in McCarthy's success. After all, Jerry is known for his loyalty, and he had stuck by McCarthy through thick and thin. But the reality was clear. This Cowboys team, with all of its star players and potential, could not continue to waste seasons under a head coach who could not deliver when it counted. The Cowboys simply could not afford another year of missed opportunities. And as painful as it may have been for Jerry to make the call, it was a necessary one. The fan base was clamoring for change, and in the end, Jerry had to listen to the voice of the fans and the pressure mounting from the media. The Cowboys were not just a team, they were a legacy, a brand, and a source of pride for millions of people across the world. The organization couldn't afford to be content with mediocrity any longer. Now that McCarthy is gone, the future of the Cowboys is in question, but also full of possibility. The team has a talented roster that's capable of competing for a championship, but what they need now is the right leader who can bring it all together. The search for McCarthy's replacement will be one of the most critical decisions in the history of this franchise. The next head coach will need to not only bring fresh ideas and strategies to the table, but also instill a new sense of urgency and discipline in a team that's had its fair share of close calls. The Cowboys have the talent to be a Super Bowl contender, but they need someone who can maximize that talent and get them to the promised land. The speculation about who will replace McCarthy has already begun. There are some big names that are being tossed around, and several potential candidates could be a great fit for the Cowboys. Some fans are calling for the team to hire someone with a proven track record of success, like Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh, who have both been rumored to be on Jerry's radar in the past. Others are pushing for a more defensive-minded coach, given how well the Cowboys' defense has played in recent years under defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. Quinn has done an excellent job developing the defense, and many believe he is deserving of a shot at the top job. There's also the possibility that the Cowboys could look to the offensive side of the ball, with Kellen Moore, the team's current offensive coordinator, a candidate many feel has earned a shot at a head coaching position. As Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office begin their search for the next head coach, it's clear that the future of the franchise is riding on this decision. The Cowboys cannot afford to make another mistake. They need someone who can bring this team together, who can get the best out of Dak Prescott, who can develop the young stars like Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, and who can manage the game in a way that makes the most of the team's strengths. The next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys will have one job above all else: deliver a championship. As we look ahead, we can only hope that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys make the right choice for the future of this proud organization, because one thing is crystal clear. Cowboys fans have waited long enough for a return to glory, and the time to act is now. And there you have it, Cowboys fans. Mike McCarthy's era in Dallas has officially ended, and now the team looks ahead to a new chapter. The next head coach will be key to unlocking the full potential of this talented roster. What do you think? Who should be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for all the latest news and updates on the Dallas Cowboys. We've got you covered every step of the way. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Cowboys!